How you doing, Gary?
Oh, I've been involved in home repair projects lately.
Oh, geez, yeah. I was just telling Roy that we just today was just total chaos. And then here's the worst part of it. I took the dogs to the dog park, and they just came back. Two of them came back just covered with burrs right after we got them groomed yesterday. So
Dogs
yeah.
have no respect. That's why I won't own any.
No, I mean, well, Amy was very sad, and she gets a little frustrated, and there's when people come over, everybody's coming over. We got pretty much
Amy's the
everybody.
dog,
No, Amy's the wife.
the wife. Okay.
No, we've
Well,
got.
I was like, wait, gets frustrated when people come over. I thought wives are supposed to like that.
Yeah, how's Adam doing with Claudia?
Well, it's funny, just before I got on, I sent him an email saying, hey, it's been a while since we chatted, let's talk. So I'll see what I hear back. But,
Yeah,
this is one of those love lost things where you're like, why aren't you moving on? Some people just don't like to move on.
Claudia is not really that interested in him or whatever.
Well, I don't know. They both have their own issues, and their issues don't seem to go together, would be my conclusion.
Yeah,
But I don't know. It's like, who am I to say?
You talk about those guided meditations. He was so good at that.
Yeah, we had a gift.
Yeah, let me see. Okay.
I keep telling him too. I said, look, this group is now exactly what you wanted. You should come back.
We did it. Everything, all those changes we made was to accommodate Adam. But you know what I don't think Adam was down with was the just anything to do with he was so committed to the feeling function, and we weren't it wasn't all feeling function. So
But you have to have both. If all you have is feeling function, then you have new age. And it's like, it's like they're all children, they don't know how to live in the adult world.
Well, I mean, it's particularly, I don't know if he's serious about it, but if he's going to Pacifica Graduate Institute, he's going to have to read a book, some book.
Well, Pacifica, it's like,
they're very new age.
But it's still all intellect. It's still, writing papers, reading books. I mean, it's still all in the head.
Yeah, I mean, it's 4 years. You might have. I got to get a pair of glasses. Just a second. I'll be right back. Oh wait, here's something.
That was easy, right where you needed them.
This one, these are kind of broken up, but okay. Anyway, Charles, we haven't heard from you yet. How are you doing?
I'm okay. Yeah, things are going pretty all right. Kind of just working a lot, really eager to get paid. Really nice.
Yeah, well, that
money's good.
Yeah, if you can just
I'm running a little bit low.
Well, yeah,
so it'd be nice to.
Didn't you give a lot of that money you made to your mother?
Yeah, I did. Give her a month's worth of rent because she lost her job recently.
That's too bad. Anyway, why don't we look at your dream? Because I tell you, it is better. I mean, Gary likes it, but when you have it written down like this, it is so much better. But go ahead. Can you see it in the chat?
Oh, yeah. 1 second. So I was in an apartment in the living room, which was very similar to the one I lived in when I was about 12. I was there with my mom and my niece, who's my sister's daughter. There's a stingray in a school of blowfish or pufferfish. It's about 8 or 9 of blowfish, and one is much larger than all the others. Kind of assumed they belonged to my niece and they were her pets or something. But the living room floor is covered with all these odds and end containers like storage bins, cardboard boxes, plastic totes, just random containers filled with water that the blowfish can at least fit in, but nothing can really hold the stingray. I'm really concerned over this, and I'm trying to solve the problem. I'm having my niece gently spray the stingray with water from a hose. I'm saying, just keep him wet, don't spray him too hard, you could hurt him. My niece doesn't say anything throughout the whole dream, and I'm becoming very upset over this because I feel like that I'm responsible for the stingray, and it's definitely going to die unless we get it to the aquarium in downtown St. Louis. So I tell my mom
Yes,
that we have to
yeah, I
get-
thought that was what it said literally, but I could be wrong. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I always like to say my own words anyway.
Yeah.
So I tell my mom we have to get this thing going to the aquarium immediately or it's going to die. She is just talking about total nonsensical things and they're completely irrelevant. She seems to be totally unable to respond. She's not able to help at all. At that point when we realize that she's absolutely no help, I'm very worried about this stingray and I kind of just start crying and yelling. The stingray has been slowly drifting into one container and then slowly out of it, slowly making its way across the room. It comes over to me and it's kind of burying its nose into the floor and sticking its tail up in the air. And it's being friendly towards me. I can see that the tail is almost sort of retracted at the tip of its tail, so it won't be able to hurt me. I see that and realize it's no threat and that the stingray is being very friendly to me, but I'm still quite depressed about the whole situation.
Okay,
And I guess
that's
also
great.
just one word of the stingray had all the beautiful, colorful patterns on it and stuff.
Yes, it's, can you describe the colorful patterns? So it's
It was
full
like
of energies. Yeah.
imagine if there was like a band around the outer edge of the stingray's body that was made out of like a mosaic like pattern of like yellow, blue, and like purple and green. It's like lined with silver.
Yeah, well, I put that picture there of their skeleton. They have kind of a round. Have you ever seen a bone like that? It's round. If it is bone, it's probably cartilage or something. I don't know.
Just
what it is.
cartilage.
Just
Yeah.
cartilage, but it's just a round piece, and then that devil's head that Roy described, and then the little fins, that have some kind of a stiff thing in them, so that they can, swat things. But anyway, let's go up through this has a lot of recurring themes in it, okay? And maybe you guys can help us remember them. But one of them is, remember the hamster that was caught in water because you didn't have enough earth? You needed islands. You were just adrift in the ocean. This is a complete reversal of that situation. Now the ocean, the beings that need water don't have a lot. They don't have enough. Now what? That isn't that odd? I mean, the hamsters can't get out of the aquarium. There's nothing to just swimming, you know. And now this is kind of a exact opposite. So now it was when you were about 12. That's an interesting age. I mean, isn't that the age that Jesus went to the Pharisees in the temple to talk to them? And you know, there's 12 disciples. 12 has something to do with time. You know, I mean, it's just a number that is very meaningful, but I don't know what that means. But now, okay, now you're there with your mother and your sister's daughter. So this is with the maternal and an anima type of a growing figure. Now, there are these godfish. The stingray's got all these colors. Oh my God, and he's has a liking for us. I mean, this is something to do with the self. You know, it really is very much like the shoe-billed stork. Now, there's also a school of blowfish or pufferfish. So now these are ones that are full of air. You know, so they're air beings in the water. You know, they are almost in. You know what inflation means literally? It's to be. And what's the difference between an inflated balloon and a deflated balloon? The deflated balloon is depressed. The inflated balloon is unrealistically positive, you know. Okay, now what's interesting is there's 8 or 9. There's 8, it's a double quaternity. If there's 9, there's 8 regular sized pufferfish and 1 that's larger than all the others. So one way or another, we're dealing with a double quaternity here, you know. So the big fish would be the master animal that Roy was talking about, and with his quaternity, you know. Now, you assumed that they belonged to the anima, and so the anima has these amazing beings with her, just amazing beings, you know. And now but yet somehow there is not adequate containers for them. They're just sort of now this usually means that there's not adequate containers in us. You know, we have access to these great energies and symbols, but we don't have the adequate containers in us, you know. So you know, there's an aspect, how do you get adequate containers? That's something that we'd have to talk about. But nothing can hold the stingray. There is no container in us that can contain. Now, does that surprise us? You know? Now, the only thing we can do is to take it to the temple of fish, the aquarium in the central part, you know, St. Louis. It has to be taken to the center, to the temple of the unconscious, really, a building that is filled with great masses of water, you know, great masses of psyche. And that's where it belongs. The ego cannot contain it, okay? Why can't the ego contain it? Because it's not the master in its own house. This is the master. Okay, the anima's present, the quaternity's present. There's this aspect of the hi Dawn. I will put this. Gary, could you copy that dream and can you copy a chat and put it in there again? I can do it. Let me see if I can get it. you don't mind me just interrupting you for just a second. All right, let's see. All right. This is a very good dream, Dawn. That's why I thought we should put it in there so you can read it too. Is this, I think, you know, you can kind of see where we're going here. This is, I'm just saying the genius in this dream is amazing. Let's see. That. Paste, hopefully. There we go. Okay. All right. We'll go back to the thing. Okay. Anyway, the idea is there is no container in the ego that can contain the vibrant, full of colors. What does it mean to be full of colors? You know, it's like the what the alchemist called the cauda pavonis, you know, the peacock tail, you know. I mean, it's just, it's unbelievable. I mean, this is related to the philosopher's stone and to the divine child and to the self as the peacock's tail is. But this is really the God of the unconscious. You know, like the shoebill stork is the god of, what is it the god of, right? Where, you know, it lives in Africa. So it's the god of the wildness. It's the god of the most wild place on earth. Okay. And you know, with those eyes, they're very conscious eyes. I think that's why the dream maker picked it, because of this, of the wise look it has. I mean, it looks to me like the smart, the most you know, it actually has its stare.
It gets respect, that's for sure.
Yes.
You don't like just grab it on its head. You like, oh, okay, I better ask permission if I'm going to get close to this thing.
Well, remember too, when it approached us in the field, its stare demands an answer. He doesn't say anything, but the look on his face, you look at it, it is demanding a response from us.
Oh yeah.
So, yes. So anyway,
when they have one in captivity and people can rub it on its head, only if they go through a ritual. You have to like bow to it. You know, like Buddhists bow at each other. They bow with the stork bows, and then you bow. You do some bowing, and then he kind of warms up to you. He feels like, okay, you're okay.
yeah, and he's just can you think of another bird
No,
like that?
no.
I mean, I would think
it's in a category of its own.
yes. I mean, I would say the only one that would be close to me would be the swan. But the swan has a completely different meaning than the shoe-billed stork. Okay, but anyway, the stingray is the god of the unconscious, but there's also a quaternity present. Now, all of these are associated with the anima, okay? Now, what Jung says about the anima, or the soul, that she has a very intimate friend with whom she confides in always, and that is the self, the center. Now the reason Jung called it the self is because he thought that using the word self instead of the word God has a claim on us. The word self does not necessarily have a claim. Now, I think he used it. I think he thinks it does have a claim on us, but he wanted to use a word. If someone mentions the word God, it automatically requires a Job-like response, or or a Promethean style response. You know, to hell with you. You know, that's what Prometheus says, you know. But anyway, this is this center of the unconscious, needs to be taken to the temple in the center of the unconscious. Okay, so now we're having the niece try to tend this being, which is in ego's realm, should not be there at all. It's not a healthy place for it, and we're trying to keep it alive with psyche, the little bit of psyche we have, the sprayers and things. And now your niece, the anima, doesn't say anything the whole dream. There really is no words in here other than the mother talking gibberish and you announcing what needs to be done. So anyway, you're becoming very upset. Now this is also a recurring thing. How many times have we heard this? Now, what does it mean to become very upset in a dream? To become very stressed, very full of tension, full of pathos, or some type of it's a crisis, and ego expresses the fact that it's such a crisis, you know, and it is, and there's been several of them, you know, when the night was going to close on the setting sun, you know, there was, I think I've heard at least 4 dreams where there was almost a total meltdown by the
There's
by
way
the
more than
dream.
that.
Yeah, okay,
Recorded.
yeah,
15,
okay.
maybe.
Yeah, well, what does it mean, really? Now, don't say anything about yourself. The dream ego is expressing in the dream complete helplessness. Okay? There is nothing we can do. Now, typically, what this is most often experienced is that you're lost somewhere and can't find your way out, or you're trapped. And that usually means that the ego can't help us now. But this has also the element of not just being confused, but well, let me finish it, and I would like to hear what people think it means to have the dream ego, not our regular ego, but the dream ego, to just have a meltdown. You know? Okay. Now, this you know that it's very irresponsible to have this magnificent being in the realm of ego, because there's no container for it there. You know? Okay. Now you tell your mother that we have to get this thing to the aquarium immediate, to the psyche or the unconscious. It cannot reside in ego consciousness. And she's just talking about nonsensical things that are completely irrelevant. She seems totally unable to respond. She's not able to help at all. At that point is when we realize that she's absolutely no help. The anima apparently is agreeing with you. If that was the way, if I recorded that right. But anyway, now this is no comment on your. I'm not saying it could be, but it's couldn't be. But I don't think it necessarily has to be about our mother in reality. It could be something about the maternal realm is just chaos for us. It's not organizing. It has no structure to help us resolve the issues of meaning in our life. You know, meaning, groundedness, earthness. By the way, somebody says in what we call grounded in electrical, in the Europe is called earthed. You know, to be earthed, it means that you ground an electrical circuit. You know, but anyway, I mean, you can just we could describe what needs to happen. The other thing is we don't have any. We need more suits. We don't have enough persona. I mean, these are the images that have come up before that have caused, and plus the in the dream of the ET and everything, there's this danger of the annihilation of what little ego we have. But the problem I think is the wise old woman says we need more suits. I think we're getting more suits. I think ever since April or whenever we went to Maine, I think we are in the process of acquiring new suits. Okay, now, so we're very worried about the stingray, crying and yelling. The stingray, though, does not seem to be in distress. It's slowly drifting over into one container and then slowly out of it, just slowly making its way across the room. It addresses us. It comes over and it buries its nose in the floor and sticks its tail up. It's sort of a greeting. Hello, Charles. Greetings from the psyche. You know. And even though it's this powerful, the tail pulls back, it wishes us goodwill. You know. And I don't think it is wishing us goodwill because it knows we can help it, although we are helping it. I can see his tail. I can see that and realize he's no threat, and the stingray is being friendly with me, but we're still distressed about it. This is that last line and that last paragraph are very important. And I'm not sure, I mean, there's a lot to unpack here. What do you think, Roy?
Oh yeah, I like that part you said about the container. Charles is the container. Yeah, Charles is the container, and I'm sticking with the stingray. It reminds me of that underwater Viking carving with your friend from California, the artist. This authentic thing deep under the water from another age, very creative power. Well, the stingray is theriomorphic, or whatever the word is, animal form.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same kind of archetype. It's Charles, ruthless gangster. It's his shadow. This is a shadow creature, and it's warming up to Charles. It wants to befriend Charles, and Charles is going to integrate it. I mean, this is a tremendous development.
It is. And you know, there's so many things in here that we could just spend 20 minutes on, you know, talking about. What do you think, Gary?
Well, I'm going to take a different tact on it because this, you know, it kind of reminds me of, you know, some of the other dreams that he's had. So let's begin with the blowfish. The blowfish is, you know, there isn't a lot of substance, but it can expand and it can look threatening. And for that, you know, there are containers that, you know, will allow these things to survive. So at least for the thing which is just sort of demonstrative but doesn't do much, it can continue. But the stingray this is sort of like, you know, it's sort of like the angel of the oceans, you know, it's this winged creature. And, you know, and this thing is precious. And so what do you find? You find that, you know, it's like but it's being mistreated. I mean, it's like, you know, you're going to barely keep it alive. You're going to mist it. Oh, okay, misting it. That'll allow it to like just absolutely barely survive, but barely. And what is it asking for? It's asking for our attention. It comes over. It asks friendly. You take note of its stinger. And this reminds me of that one poster you had, you know, that, you know, it was on the anima, and it was like, you know, he who doesn't, you know, take these things seriously, doesn't take life seriously, the anima will, you know, be a terror in your life. And to me, you know, it's like Charles is always getting these messages from the psyche, but it's not enough to just get messages. You know, this has to be followed with action. This, you know, you've got, you know, you have to look at something like this and say, okay, you know, this spiritual being, I haven't provided it with a container. I'm barely keeping it alive. I'm just giving it some mistings. It needs an aquarium to swim in. And you've got to ask yourself, you know, what are the soulful things I'm doing? And not just like, you know, occasionally writing down a dream. You know, like, what do you do in the way of meditation? What do you do in the way of other practices and things? You know, we've got to have a part, you know, if we're serious about this work, it's not just doing a dream group now and then, it's doing active imaginations, it's doing meditation, it's doing, you know, whatever sort of soulful things and spiritual things, you know, give the attention and provide the stingray with the aquarium that it needs to live in. And so, you know, this is, to me, is just, you know, just yet again, a message from the psyche that says, like, okay, for the spiritual part of this, you're giving us a little bit of mystic, which is barely keeping us alive, but we need an aquarium to swim in. That's my take on it.
Yeah, it is really you know, the unconscious in Cheryl's case, first of all, is incredibly sophisticated, incredibly rich in its imagery. And I think, Charles, it sees us as a hard case. You know, it takes you know, it is not our problems say, well, let me ask you this, Charles. When did you start having dreams that were this rich? I mean, do you remember, have you had them all your life, or did they just start in the last few years?
I mean, I have memories of like significantly meaningful dreams starting around when I was like 20 or late teens, maybe 19. But I did not start actively recording dreams until about 2018.
I think this is kind of like one of those Donald Kalshed things, is that the psyche sees that we did not get the proper nurturing in our early youth, and now we've become an adult. So now the psyche has become our mother, you know, and yet it is so eloquent and such a genius that sometimes it's unfathomable. And yet it has a general, the rudder and where it wants us to go seems to be not an ordinary place. You know, I don't know. I mean, I could be very wrong. Why don't you give your feelings on this? Charles, and then
Yeah,
just have a guess later, everybody.
I
Go ahead.
I actually think that you were exactly right, saying that the rudder is not positioned in a direction to go anywhere ordinary, and I think that's what the school of pufferfish is about. They're just like a little collective group where they all look the same and they're just filled with air. They're really defensive. Now the stingray is more like the real true me that I'm supposed to develop into. It has a stinger so it can hurt people and defend itself, but it has it retracted, but also, it can sting, but it's also extremely soft. And it's, very gentle. And this one's particularly beautiful. And yeah, in life, I do not have a container for, if this was if this was a tree, I would have a dream where I had nowhere to plant it. I would have, a garden of weeds, but I have nowhere to plant this tree, and I know it would die if I don't plant it soon. And I cannot rely on I can't rely on help from, I can't regress. I can't rely on help from my mother. It's whether literally or metaphorically. But I think, and the thing is the puffer fish are fine. I don't have to, I mean, for the most part, I'm not worried about them. Cause that's not my real me. And that's how I would describe it.
Well, let me just add a few amplifications. Is that first of all, it's that contrast between the hamster that doesn't have any earth. So this is just almost a complete reversal of that situation. Okay, the stingray has wings, and it also has a lance. Okay, which is its logos, lance. It's the lance of differentiation. The sword of Manjushri, which cuts things in half, which means it differentiates it. So it has the lance of differentiation, and it also has wings. It's a being of the ocean, and yet it has wings. The pufferfish is a being of the ocean, and yet it is filled with air. So both of these creatures have a pneumatic, a pneuma aspect, the air and the ethereal realm, and a chthonic realm aspect, that they're in the depths. So they're creatures. It's just amazing that they're creatures. It's like dreaming about a duck. A duck is of the upper realms and of the water realm and of the land. So the stingray. Now, yet it's only its pneumatic aspect is only theoretical, because it never comes out of the depths. But it has a suggestion that it's related to the pneumatic realms, even though it never leaves the deeps. Okay. Now, the whole idea is how mysterious this is. I mean, what is it asking us to do? Okay, let's ask that. What is it asking us to do? It is asking us to rescue it. Okay? The self in us needs rescue. It needs our action. Otherwise, it will die. The archetype of meaning within us, if we don't give it the proper attention, it will die. And of course, that could be a reason why we realize this is a matter of life and death. It's not just the death of the stingray. It's the death of meaning for us. In other words, if it's not there, there's this aspect of nihilism, nothingness. I mean, this seemed like what was happening when the night was closing on the sun. That what it was really symbolizing was ego annihilation. Okay. So if anything happens to our center, to this being that lives in the depths, that is this great and magnificent and so colorful and numinous, it does not speak well for the ego. And this is why we're so distressed. But now, what is it asking us to do other than it wants dream ego to connect with the center and to rescue its own center? Our dream ego needs to rescue its own center through action, through taking an act. Okay, this has been the whole problem of the puer aeternus. They understand everything. They can explain it to you better than von Franz can. But the only thing that, as the Wizard of Oz says, the one thing you haven't got is what Roy mentioned one time: courage. The heart courage means having heart to fight the fight. Having the heart to fight our own fight. Now, this is just describing in absolutely, I would say, mythical terms, almost mythical terms, what's happening in the outer life. But it is writing a great myth, but it is describing our own life. Now, the idea too is the reason the mother can't help, I don't think, is because I think what it's saying is we were not nurtured in childhood adequately. So our that thing that most people would have would be where they were guided along very carefully, other than your grandfather, who I think died, didn't he? Or no, who raised you? It was, I think you were happy there. Your mother's parents, or?
From about 5 to 10, my mom's mom and her husband raised me. And that was probably the best place I lived.
Okay, but the whole idea is all of these funny events that have been going on in our lives. At the same time, in the psyche, it is a great myth. I mean, it's just a great myth. What do you think, Roy? I mean,
I just like to keep it simple.
Yeah.
Charles needs to be rescued, not the stingray. Remember, this thing is an archetype. It's in the unconscious. I mean, you're getting too literal. It's Charles that needs to be rescued. This thing that it's chthonic in the shadow, is saying, "Come on, let's do it." Of course, the mother doesn't like it. It's just like Percival when he wanted to be a knight. His mother doesn't like that. You know, it's dangerous. It's guy stuff. You know, all he's got to do is befriend this thing. It doesn't need an aquarium. Come on. He just has to befriend it. Charles is the one that needs to get rescued. They just got to hook it up.
Hook it up to the get
friendship,
some kind of container.
The friendship.
Yeah.
No, we don't need no container. It's just like Gilgamesh and Enkidu. They went on adventures together. That's how they hooked it up. That's how they became great friends. They shared adventures. He needs to share with this thing. He wants this. The stingray wants to befriend him. You know and that's where the life and the energy will flow back, and the creativity will flow back into Charles. Charles needs to be rescued, not the stingray.
Yeah, I would say I agree with you, but the only thing is that if anything happens to this stingray, Charles is lost.
Well, that's Charles' fault.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why Charles needs rescuing. That's why Charles needs a container. Yeah, Charles is lost. The self's gone. The self isn't in danger at all. Charles is in danger of losing the self.
Charles does not have a container. You nailed it there. The aspect of Charles needs a container.
Yeah, Charles. The stingray isn't upset in the dream. It's kind of playing around, frisky. Charles is the one that's stressed out and upset.
That you nailed it, Roy. See, if Charles does not have a container, then nothing can be contained.
Charles is the vessel. Charles is the vessel.
Charles is not an adequate vessel right now. He needs to become a better vessel of all of these, of the meaning of being alive. Charles right now is not a good container for the meaning of being alive. And it's biological, I think, very biological. And it's not so mystical as you say. It has to do with our bodies and our existence as a body. You know, our ego is not an adequate vessel for this gift of the body that we have. You know, and it needs to. I mean, it's something. I think one of the parts of the stingray is our little earth is our body. You know, and we don't have in our awareness, in our ego awareness, that we are not containing our little earth. I mean, our little earth is too great for our ego awareness. You know. I don't know. I'm a little, but I guess these are some of the things going on with me. So it might not be with Gary. I mean, with Charles. What do you think, Gary? I forget who's who here.
Well, I think we're all saying the same thing in different ways, but I guess for some direct action, you know, because I like what Roy had to say there. For direct action, I think Charles needs to do some active imaginations with the stingray and ask it what it needs. And then, you know, after they've dialogued on this for a while, you need to ask it, what would it feel if it got what it needed? You know, somehow this has to go into the feeling function.
It is interesting. I mean, we talk about active imagination, but I think you know the main thing is, and maybe you can tell me this, Charles. Do you take these dreams seriously? You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is great.
I mean, I try to.
Great.
But some I have difficult understanding and therefore taking seriously, and then others jump right out at me and can't help but take them seriously.
The one thing is, if we recognize in the outer world that this is a matter of life and death is a much different thing. The realization and the impact of realizing this is a matter of life and death in the outer world too is much different than the dream ego knows it's a matter of life and death. The dream ego has no doubt this is a matter of life and death of utmost importance. Okay. But does the outer ego realize that it's of utmost importance? You know, the one thing you can talk about active imaginations, but, and I don't like mentioning this, but really, I hate to say it, it just requires prayer. It requires a sincere realization with our ego awareness that we need guidance. We in the outer world need guidance. Now, where do we get it? How do we get it? What I mean, because these dreams are so powerful, and the dream ego seems to know that they're of utmost importance and is very distressed. The point is, does it have as much impact in the outer world? Now, Gary's mentioning the fact of active imaginations, but the active imagination must be done with the spirit of coming to the shoe-build store, bowing to the shoe-build store before we come to it. You know, it's sort of a I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying that you know, these, to take it seriously in the outer world is the dream ego is taking it very seriously in the inner world. But how do we take it seriously in the outer world?
Let me ask Charles a question. Charles, what kind of personality does this stingray have? If it had a personality, how would it differ from your personality? What kind of personality does this stingray have? How do you see it as a character?
Graceful but also able to defend itself, and like kind of like a silent but sensitive and also kind of independent, calm, not afraid of much of anything, and not afraid to be by itself, and I don't know, it's kind of like gentle but strong.
Now compare that to your personality. What's your personality like?
I don't know. It's hard to describe myself.
Are you gentle?
I don't see myself from the outside.
Are you gentle?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so, but
As gentle as a stingray?
I'm definitely not as I don't know. I don't think I meet any quality of the stingray in the amount of the quality that the stingray has.
Would you like to have some of those qualities of the stingray?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't really have many personality traits, I guess. I don't have many qualities to begin with, so even just having more would be nice.
More like the stingray or more like a puffer fish or a hamster?
Definitely more like a stingray.
Well, there you go. Well, so y'all got something to learn from each other. And the stingray likes something about you. And you're going to find out what that is when you get to be friends.
Yeah, compare the stingray to the hamster or the pufferfish. You know, the pufferfish is all air, and the stingray is not hot air. The stingray, there is what about the stingray is not godlike? I mean, what fish has that form? I mean, could anybody think of well, I would say maybe the octopus, or, I mean, you know, but, you know, these amazing beings of the depths, maybe the whales, you know, the blue whale or the humpback whale. But
why would something that's sort of a little bit scary or a little bit on the shadow side want to be friends with us, especially when we think we don't have anything? We're nobody. Why would it want to be friends with us?
yeah, I mean, it would seem, and now you know, it's a very elemental being. It is a being, a very primitive being, and it is yet it is absolutely you know what I didn't want to mention Steve Irwin, but
I did.
know, yeah, I know. I mean, I thought about it, but I didn't say it out loud. I mean, I'm sort of one of these, you know.
So that's just how powerful this creature is. It might be prehistoric and primal, but how powerful it is. And it's a somebody. It has qualities that Charles described. And why would it want to befriend a nobody?
There you go. Yes. And addresses us,
Yes.
with tenderness and affection. And and the thing is, it comes towards us and addresses us personally. And you know, the putting its nose into the thing and bringing its tail up like this to us is sort of is probably the most profound way it could possibly represent greetings from me. You know,
Non-threatening,
yes.
non-threatening.
Yeah, but also it is just an absolute, it is a I thou address. It's addressing us as a eternal entity.
Now, why would it do that? Why would it do that?
Because it wants us to respond in the same way. You
But
know,
why does it even want
Because it loves
why does it
us.
even want us to why would it even want to establish this relationship?
okay, that was the
Because it loves
question.
me.
You go ahead, Charles.
Because it loves me.
Yes.
God.
Exactly. Well, it does. It loves us. See, this is what I was thinking, Roy, when you were mentioning James and like other people, Heidi and other people who you know, apparently the unconscious wasn't concerned with their annihilation. I think it was. I mean, we don't know, but
Back to Charles. I'm really hanging on this because we're getting somewhere. The stingray considers you an equal. It considers you an equal. That's a great honor from a powerful being like this.
that was what the anima told me too. She did not want my worship. She wanted my collaboration. She wanted.
And why would she want
vessel.
that? Why would she want that?
Because that is the way the divine child is born. or the what the whole purpose of my being alive and she existing in my background of my awareness. It's the whole purpose.
But she considers you an equal, right? She wouldn't
Yes.
give you that space to do that if she didn't consider you an equal. And
No,
you either rise to the occasion or you don't.
And she told me, I don't suffer fools gladly. Don't come to me with your, oh, I'm so great type things. And
this is a
says,
fantastic opportunity. I mean, this is a great day on the battlefield, that something that powerful acknowledges you, accepts you as an equal. What you going to do? This doesn't happen every day. You know, pick yourself up, man. Pick yourself up. This is a great day.
Yeah, this is very close to the ISIS with her, with the baby in her basket type of an address, you know, and I don't mean to push this. I mean, because we all have this idea of what Jung said is that he would tell people they have a rattlesnake in their pocket, and they would just look at me like, oh, do I? You know, sort of bored. And he says the worst problem he had with people was apathy and laziness.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so the idea is when I could not think, can you, anybody, think of a more powerful, and let's say a more astounding address than to have a stingray do this, you know, basically this. Namaste. That's what it's saying. I'm recognizing the divine in you. And not only, it's not just a gray stingray, it's one that is covered with colors like a peacock and with geometrical mosaic designs on it. So in other words, it's full of mandalas, you know, it's full of symbolic meaning. Okay, it is symbolic meaning itself, and it addresses us. Have you had anything or anybody had a dream like this before?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I would say the shoe-billed stork was.
Oh, yeah. Same type of thing.
Yeah.
They were staring at each other, taking my head off.
Yeah.
But it did.
Yeah, and so the whole thing, and it is, well, you know, it was like Amy's brother said that he and her, Heidi, saw the flame from which all meaning came. So they saw the stingray, and it said namaste. And he says, and then, you know, now it's not here anymore. That was something we witnessed, but now we're in the outer world now. Okay. And he says, I spent the rest of my life trying to look for it. And she's not put out. You know, no, I'm not going there. You know, I mean, in other words, she totally disregarded it. She was not going to relate to the outer world. She was going to be self-willed her whole life. I mean, and basically, I think the one thing she did do that was acknowledging its power is to be high all the time. You know, I mean, she was acknowledging the power of the stingray by being high all the time. You know, and anyway.
You know, that's interesting what you just said there, Craig, because if she chose to be high all the time, in a way, you know, really that's being in a state of active imagination at all times.
Yes.
Because, you know, you're recognizing what you can do with your energy, and you're taking it, you know, you're taking it to the higher levels.
But where's the introspection?
Yeah, there's none. It's a cheap way out. It's absolutely cheap way out. It's just like getting drunk or anything like that. I'm not going to put the effort in to, well, let me
It's
just say
got to
one-
have the substance. It's got to have
it
the foundation, the
requires-
substance, which is the introspection.
Yes,
You can say
And-
how you want to if you got the substance and the ground that you get from digesting your experiences.
it requires
Otherwise,
a
if you're
great-
high, forget it. It's going to cook you.
it requires a great claim on us, a claim that must be obeyed. Okay, must be obeyed.
The artist.
Yes, and this dream has a claim on us that must be obeyed. Are we going to do it or aren't we? The claim it has on us is the God addresses us because it loves us. Okay, God loves you, and this isn't something you read in the Bible. He told you personally, face to face. That's a little different, obligation. So what's our obligation now after we heard that? Oh, that's nice. Thanks. I mean, just shrug our shoulders,
I hate to abruptly leave, but I have to go get something to eat.
Okay, sure.
I haven't really, didn't have lunch break or anything, so
Okay, that's
I
fine,
gotta get
Charles.
this work business.
No problemo.
But thank you
it's,
guys so much.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so
Okay.
much. I
Well,
appreciate it.
anyway, it's a great lesson to all of us, I think. Thank you, Charles.
Good night, guys.
Is the obligation. I want to tell you one thing that's just been a revelation. It seems so simple to me. I mean, it seems simple, yet it was a great revelation to me, is that to be, to really do this work, I mean, it's just like, we need to have soul with us all the time. We need to be speaking with her all the time. And what Jeffrey Raff said, Von Franz told him, that you need to be in this two bridges. Remember Dawn's dream of the two bridges? That's active imagination. It is the absolute symbol of active imagination, a bridge going this way, bridge going that way, but those bridges need to be open all the time. And it was I never ever realized that until maybe 2 weeks ago. But it's very simple, but how do you do it? And the other thing is, do we take it seriously? Apathy and laziness. And where Von Franz says, we don't need to do this stuff. Just having just general common sense and trying to during the day and everything, and is plenty. I mean, she just announced one that never leaves the outer world. One that is just this common, ordinary, common sense. But anyway, I mean, I guess the whole thing is the real hurdle for everybody is to get over that sense that it is a matter of life and death in the outer world and requires a response. And we're obliged to make the response. Roy, Charles isn't here, but what do you think about that? I mean, the fact that it is a deep, deep obligation.
It was interesting. Yesterday, Tim sent me this email with Dawn's letter that she sent to me, and it was a quote from Von Franz's book Alchemy, which I don't have. I don't know how Tim got a copy of it, if he got it from you or what, but I didn't have it, so I had to look it up, and I found that passage on page 229. But the term was corruptible humidity. Are you familiar with that one, Craig? Corruptible humidity. It's
No.
in alchemy. Okay, this is what kind of, I'm going to paraphrase the best I understand it. It's kind of like an unconsciousness. And what it is, like say I'll give an example. Think I'm the white knight and I'm going to rescue damsels to try to be a nice guy. And that's my image. And I can't really see it, but other people could see it maybe, but I can't see it very well. So that's an example of corruptible humidity in the sense that I'm in an unconscious state. I'm living in the external world. Have an image of me, which is sort of unconsciousness. And it has to, in alchemy, it has to burn. It's like the fire burning the fire. And it has to burn to a fine ash. Like when Jung was interpreting that woman's dream where she was in the pot of hot stew and she was up to her neck. And Jung came in and pushed her head down in the soup. And he said, not in, but through. Yeah. It has to be burnt to a fine ash. And then the next stage, the water. So the corruptible humidity is our state of unconsciousness where we're not going to wake up. Why should we wake up? We're asleep. We don't even see where we're asleep or what we're doing. And that's why we suffer. And that's the fire. And it has to be burned up to a fine ash.
And ash is something that can't be burnt any farther. So right. The idea is that
then you add the water and it works. If you don't overanalyze it, she says, don't overanalyze it. Once you get burnt to the fine ash, go back to the child with curiosity and wonder and innocence. End it right there. It's ineffable. It's a great mystery. You got a little wisdom, leave it at that.
Yeah, that is great. It really is. The idea of, well, unconscious feeling. And, Miles was talking about what hell is. He sent an email out about what is hell, and I don't know, hell is the cosmic energies. The underworld is the cosmic energies, and the only way it is hell is there is an aspect of it. It's the unconscious conscious energies. So it's also the unconscious feeling function, the unconscious, which you're talking about, corruptible humidity, and the upper realms. Then you got the middle realm of the earth, the one we live on. And then the one below that is all these cosmic energies. And the one above it is so far away. There is nothing up there there's an obstacle, but anyway, it was sort of this idea of when what they mean in hell is that we have never become conscious. So really hell means that we must reside in our unconsciousness forever. And this was the Egyptian hell too. Did you ever get out of your animal nature, your unconscious nature? Oh, you didn't. Okay. No, but this other one whose heart was as light as a feather. So he, had moved up to the upper realms, become conscious, so I guess the whole thing is this dream, just to pull it in with what you just said, Roy, this dream is demanding consciousness. Mm-hmm. It's demanding consciousness of the depths. And
it's an invitation. It's an invitation to consciousness.
What's the alternative? If we don't accept the invitation, we are saying, I guess
time to burn some more. The fire's got to burn some more.
Yes, and that's what the fires of hell are doing. They burn some more.
That's what they do.
Yeah,
they burn it to the fine ash.
To the fine ash. Now, at that level of fine ash, then all of this desire and this desire, the burning desire,
The illusions.
yes, which keeps us in this unconsciousness. We need to burn it up completely.
They're going to burn it up for us. We don't have to do anything. We're just going to roast.
No, I mean, that's amazing. Well, Gary, did you have any comments about all of this? I mean, just like
Well, I
that
think
is
this
so
was,
wonderful. Roy.
You know, I really, Roy, you could become a Gestalt therapist. I was so glad that, you know, Roy took that track that he did and said, well, look, you know, how does this thing feel towards you, you know? But he took it down on the feeling because, you know, I think, you know, I think the problem is that, you know, we think that if we analyze and we rationalize that people will take action, and people don't take action through analysis. You know, analysis does nothing. You can tell someone exactly what complex they have, and they'll just be like, oh, great. And it won't change a thing. It won't change a thing. You know, it'll just be like, they'll be like, oh, I was analyzed. And they'll think they've moved, but they haven't moved. The only way that you can move is to get in, you know, contact with your feelings, to go into the feeling function. And I think so that was just brilliant, Roy. Good job.
Well, I think the only way this happens usually is through suffering and loss. And you know, Jung said it never happens to anyone unless they suffer a great wound. They need to hit bottom.
Nobody's ever, all the psychoanalysts, Jung, nobody's found another way. No. Nobody's found another way better.
You have to hit bottom. And what does that mean to hit bottom? It means that you have to realize that thinking that you can do it on the cheap through ego and slipperiness and escape and all of that kind of stuff, you have to finally be cornered and find there's no way out. And then at that point, it really, I mean, how do you become the vessel of the depths? You surrender. You need to surrender. You know, now in I was listening to an AA meeting that my wife was at, and this one woman was trying to sugarcoat it. It says, well, a lot of people don't like that word surrender. I think we should say that we should accept things, you know. But see, that is not what is the you know, surrender is sort of like this you know, it is I'm trying to think of the word. It is a kairos event. You know, it's a turning point.
You know, when people are begging for mercy and they're atheists, they use the word God a lot.
Oh, I know when they everybody there are no atheists in the foxhole.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, because
you have to get there to the foxhole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I guess that's the only thing. I mean, I don't know. I think that in Charles' case, you can't put the cart before the horse. I think what he needs right now is he needs several new suits of clothes. He needs persona. And but what do you make of the fact that and I think you alluded to it, Roy, that the hamsters changed into this godlike stingray.
Yeah, the ethereomorphic animals, which is actually the self, they transform as you progress into different forms. And now he's got the stingray.
Yeah, and where the hamster is drowning in the psyche, the stingray doesn't drown in the psyche. It is the king psyche, you know? And so, I mean, how talk about progression. It's unbelievable. You know, that's an unbelievable progression. Well, anyway, this was very important for me. Am I frozen for you? I could overanalyze things. Let's read what Dawn says. I just realized that they were, when I went to the Zoom meeting, I overanalyze things, constantly pick them to pieces, start doing it myself after breakdown to the point it drove me even more into confusion, and I had to tell myself to stop. You are frozen for me. Oh, that's enough. I have a question. Well, I would say one thing is, you know, you're not overanalyzing things. You know who's overanalyzing things? The negative animus in you, who's telling you you can't do anything. Don't try, don't start. You'll never accomplish anything. Now, that's not you saying that. That's the negative animus telling us that. And that's not just your problem. That is the general problem of women. And at some point, they have to come and say, shut up. I am going to do it. Don't ever say that again. I can do it. And by the way, yeah, go ahead, Dawn.
About dealing with complexes. Gary was talking about people. You can tell them they have them all you want, and they don't. If they don't decide to do something about it, I guess nothing gets different. And I'm sorry if I didn't repeat you exactly the way you said it, but you're always saying too the ego can't help you now. So to me, if you're deciding to go at a problem and do something about it, how is that not like your ego being the one to say, okay, I've got to fix this, let me do something? Am I making any sense?
Yeah. I mean, there is this. Okay, here's the thing. You reach the point. Now, I'm going to say this real quick because I want to hear what Gary and Roy have to say. You reach a point where you know you can't do it yourself, but you can do it with the Stingray as a collaboration. You know, I mean, there's how would you put it, Roy?
Yeah, that's exactly how I would put it. The
Why
ego,
does the Stingray show up?
the ego has to do it, but the ego needs an ally. The Stingray is an ally. The ego can't do it by itself. It needs something from the unconscious. The self will take some form, like a stingray.
Why did the Stingray show up?
That's what he needs. He described it. He admired all the qualities of it. It had things that he didn't have. It has the qualities that his ego needs to be more alive and successful in life.
Hey, but let's deal with her question. Like, let's say, you know, the Stingray doesn't show up for you, but I think this is where, you know, active imagination comes in, because let's say you've got a really strong emotion and, you know, it's driving you crazy. So then what you basically do is you do the Hillman thing and you personify that emotion. You put that emotion over in another chair and you dialogue with it. And when it's the emotion's turn to speak, you go and you sit in that chair and you lend it your awareness and you let it speak its needs, because, you know, done well, you're going to find out things that you didn't know. You're going to express feelings and needs that were hidden, were repressed. And as you go along, you know, you'll be able, you know, so if you think about it as like the shadow, and the shadow is anything that's just unconscious, as these things become known, you know, you can agree to like, oh, I'm going to give more time to your needs. I'm going to be more aware of this. I'm going to honor, this part of me. So
I'd say
that's,
too, yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, well, you had the white spider, Dawn. The white spider, not the black spider, the white spider. And up until this point, so some of the elements of the unconscious were more weak and helpless than Charles, the hamster, Okay, and then suddenly the stingray comes. There is nothing weak and helpless about the stingray. Now the whole idea is the ego can't help you now. Let's just go over that really quickly. I mean, not quickly, but I'm not saying really quickly, but how do we clarify that? The idea is that we need to hit bottom. We need to realize that the task of the tack or the journey of living in a realm of self-will goes down a dead end. It's not a through street. It's going to reach a brick wall at some point. That's the realm of ego thinking it's the God, through self-will. All it's concerned about is what do I want? Now at some point you have to realize you're not the master in your own house. You have a stingray, and the stingray loves you. Okay, now you're not this isolated God in your own awareness anymore. There is some other figure there who is greater than you are, who loves you and demands a response. I think, Roy, can you clarify it any better than that?
Yeah, Gary and Craig, you're doing great. I mean, the active imagination, like Gary was explaining, works great for some people, especially if you don't remember your dreams that well. That'll work great. Have two chairs and answer back and forth. Your feelings and your emotions is one thing, and then your ego, when it's thinking, is another, and you dialogue, and you really relate. And you have to do something with that. And then you're not stuck surrounding yourself. You're just not an ego surrounded with itself. And you have to break through the corrupted humidity, the unconsciousness, which you don't notice because you're surrounded by it. And you can do it with active imagination and being honest, or images you get from your dreams. There's things that are going to come and help you from the unconscious. Objects and animals and people, that the self takes these different forms that are going to help you. They're going to be allies to wake you up, to help you see what you're doing.
Yeah, and you're saying the ego tries to fix it with going after what it wants, is what I think. Yeah, I mean, it basically is at some point, okay, desiring things means you are desiring something, and that's good. But what is the central longing of our what are all those cheap imitations of uniting with the center? See, now that's the reason we were born, not to get a new car. I mean, what happens after you get a new car? It didn't solve my want. Now I want something else. That's not enough. Now a relationship with the soul or the self, you're not going to find that incompleteness in it, I don't think. I mean, I think at that point is well, anyway, I would say we got a couple minutes here. I just wanted to say, what's today? Wednesday. We got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So you got 5 days. Everybody here, let's have a dream in the next 5 days.
Oh, we got dreams.
Yeah, read a fairy tale, whatever. You know, I mean, let's just try, Dawn and Gary especially, if you can, see if you could get something going. You know, ask the Dream Maker at night to send you something. And if it's just a fragment, you know. Well, thank you, Dawn. We'll see you guys all on Monday then, or Sunday or wherever. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow, Gary.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Yeah, okay. Good night, guys.
Bye.
Bye.